The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Matinee Madness. Matinee Madness is presented by the Ohio State University Veterinary Medical Center, El Dorado Scioto Downs, Winterwood Farm, and Wire-to-Wire Wealth.
Welcome back to Matinee Madness. I'm Ashley Daly, and we have the one and only Matt Clark behind the camera. Thanks for joining us. Here we are in Champaign County in Urbana, Ohio today. We have 20 races that are going to go behind the gate. 77 horses have been entered and 67 are Ohio breds. I'm excited to show you where I have grown up and how I know everything I know about race horses. So join us back here after a brief break and we'll take a look at what we're seeing today.
The future is bright in Ohio. Ohio Sire Stakes, Buckeye Stallion Series, 66 county and independent fairs. Whether it's the Ohio Sire Stakes, the Buckeye Stallion Series, or the county fairs, Ohio has a place for your racehorse. This year, Ohio breds are racing for nearly $23 million in stakes purses. Be part of the winning. Breed, buy, race, win in Ohio. Racing is back at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday nights. First race post time is 5:45. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with the $150,000 Next Generation on July 5th. Thrilling harness racing at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Horse players can earn points with the Caesars Reward Program. El Dorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Hi, I'm Dean Gillespie, and I want to tell you about the Ohio Colt Racing Association. There's 19 member fairs, and they sponsor the Partial Futurity in Greenville, Ohio. You need to race in the OCRA. Great racetracks, great people. Bring the kids and come out to the fair, and remember, fair time is fun time.
Welcome back to the Champaign County Matinee here in Urbana. Before we got started today, I actually spent quite a bit of time on the backside and got to catch up with trainer Logan Rowe. Stopping now with Logan Rowe. Logan, you're actually kind of newish to the training world, but you've been around horses pretty much your whole life.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, Matt, I didn't really start getting into it a whole lot until probably 8 years ago, but Matt, he's had horses, and Mark have had them for 30, 40 plus years, and I've always been out there for, family affairs, Thanksgiving, Christmas, holidays, helping feed, mow, whatever we could do. So that's kind of how I got into it.
And we've had our training license now for just a couple of years, but you've kind of skyrocketed. You've had some nice horses, to say the least.
I don't know if it's skyrocketing, but lucky to have such nice horses. We have nice brood mares. A lot of our stuff's homebred, so we just keep getting lucky. So I'll take it.
So we do have a handful, 2-year-olds with us today. Like you said, mostly homebreds. You used to train out of here at Urbana, but we're at a home track now. How's that worked out for you?
The home track's great. We don't miss too many days. We can do pretty much whatever we want with it, however we want with it, and it's just been really nice. It's right there. Everything's there. Water truck, track conditioner, and then the team. We all put in a lot of work to make sure we can try to get where we're heading. So. Have
the babies seen a gate yet?
Yes. We have a little gate that we tow behind the truck at the house. So most of them did pretty well. There's a couple that were a little but that's what today's for. So
hauling in, how have they transitioned into the barn here and being on this track?
So far, good. They seem real quiet. There's a couple of them in there that have been a little stirred up, but he does that at home anyway, so.
We have, I think in the first race, we have Don't Tell Matt, a homebred. There's got to be a story behind that name, even just a little one.
Yeah, for the most part. It's just anytime we screw up outside, it's, hey, don't tell Matt. So that's what it is. Matt, in the wintertime, he's kind of like he's got a little bit of groundhog in him, so he don't come out unless the sun's shining. So we tease him a lot.
So don't tell Matt, right.
Don't tell Matt, yeah.
Do we have any other hopefuls? What are you expecting today?
I just hope everybody comes out and gets around here, stays flat, just a good schooling experience. I'm about right where I think we need to be on some of these guys from training at home, and we're just here to have a little fun and see if we can get around here.
And there we go, Logan Rowe. Let's go ahead and head back, and we will take a look at the first race. Our first race today is a 2:10 pace. We have 4 horses entered, all Ohio breds. On the rail, we have Haliaka, will be driven by Sean Barker, trained by Rachel Onema. This is a 2-year-old colt by Catch the Fire out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare. It is owned by BC LLC and Backroads Stable. Haliaka actually was a $13,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected Sale and is a half sibling to a $214,000 earner with a mark in 151 and 2. Our 2 horse is the Town Mailman. Ron Gillespie will drive for Craig Bowman. This is a 2-year-old colt by Well Said. Actually was sold at the Blooded Horse Sale for $7,000 under the name Well On My Way. Our 3 horse is Hellilicious Hill, will be trained and driven by Darren Dowler. This is a colt by Racing Hill out of a Feelin' Frisky mare Extreme Prejudice. Daryl Dowler does also own this colt. This is the most expensive foal out of this mare so far, and actually sold under the name ATI Wildside, the Buckeye Classic sale, for $27,000. Rounding out the field is horse 4, Don't Tell Matt. Another 2-year-old colt by Well Said out of Sarah's Little Sis, a Noble Land Sam mare. This is a homebred for Matt Rowe, trained by Logan Rowe, and is a half sibling to Dirty Steve, a 2014 foal that has made $185,000 in his career.
They're off the turn, they're on their way home. The Town Mailman has the lead. On the outside, Helia Kayla coming to the line. The Town Mailman.
Our 2-year-old colt pacers came out swinging, put on a nice solid show for us. We went the fractions in 36 and 2, 109 and 2 to the 3/4 and 140 and flat, and finished that back half in a 59 apiece. Final mile time 2:08 and 4. It was all the Town Mailman, Ronnie G, for Craig Bowman. In second, we had Haliaka. In third was Hellilicious Hill, and our 4 horse rounded out the field, Don't Tell Matt. Headed next into our second race, it is a 2:05 time bar. Some more pacers. We have a field of 4, just 2 Ohio breds. On the rail, we have Dancin' in My Sleep, trained and driven by Scott Ferguson. This is a 3-year-old filly who did not race at all at 2. Is a homebred and is actually a half sibling to one we may recently remember, Apple Susie, who just a couple years ago did, I believe, win the BSS final and the fair final, made $105,000 in her career. This mare is actually pretty impressive too. She has had 9 of 10 foals make it to the track. Our 2 horse is a Pennsylvania bred, Pixie's Prize. Our 3 horse is She's a Fancy Dancer, trained by my mom, Kim Daly, will be driven by Kevin Snyder. This is another 3-year-old filly who did not race at all at 2, however, has had 1 start on the year, got a little scared behind the gate, and that's why she's out here today. She is a half sibling to Giggles in Dreams, who's made $265,000 in its career with a mark in 150 and 1. And rounding out the field is a Michigan bred, trained by Emily Hay, and is under the name PBR Knight.
They're off the turn, they're on their way home. Pixie's Prize, she's a fancy dancer. Pixie's Prize closing on the outside. Coming to the line, she's a fancy dancer.
Our 3-year-olds gave us quite a bit more movement in race 2. The final mile time goes in 2:04. It was all She's a Fancy Dancer. That 3-year-old filly ended up pushing, I believe it was Pixie's Prize, 3 wide in the final turn, and she was on cruise control to that final mile with the fractions in 31 to the half in 1:02, 3/4 in 1:34, and again that final mile time in 2:04. Our winner was She's a Fancy Dancer. In second, we have Pixie's Prize. And third place, we have Dancin' in My Sleep, and rounding out the field was the Michigan bred PBR Knight. Rolling now into race 3, we are scratched down to a field of 4. It is a 2:15 pace. Our 1 horse is scratched. Our 2 horse is actually Ontario bred, trained by Cassandra Lacourte, will be driven by Luke Ebersol. It is Born to be Flawless. Our 3 horse is Pet Project. Once again, out of the Daily stable, Kevin Snyder will drive. This is a 2-year-old colt by Pet Rock out of I Got a Feelin' Fran. This is a homebred for us. I Got a Feelin' Fran was actually our open level pacing mare for quite a bit, and at 3 years old, she won the Ohio Triple Crown under my dad's conditioning. She made almost $600,000 in her racing career with a mark in 151-1. Our 4 horse is trained by Robert Boggs, driven by Stacy Mays. One Good Deal. This 2-year-old colt by Well Said is out of a Blissful Hall mare. Blissful. This mare actually made $778,000 in her career with a mark in 150-2. One Good Deal is a full sibling to Smile and Say Cheese, who made $262,000 in his career with a mark in 151 flat. Running out the field is horse 5, trained and driven by Randy Smith, always on some beach, and he is a Pennsylvania bred.
They circle the turn. They arrive at the top of the stretch, and the leader is Born to be Flawless. Waiting for the pressure from Always on Some Beach. Up the inside, Pet Project. One Good Deal is third. They're off the turn. They're on their way home. Always on Some Beach, closing on the outside. Born to be Flawless. Always on Some Beach, but Born to be Flawless.
Very tight finish for race 3. Our 2:15 time bar actually goes in 2:11 3/5. It was Born to be Flawless. The Ontario bred was our winner. In second place was Always on Some Beach. Third was Pet Project, and riding out the field was One Good Deal. Fractions went in 34-2, to the half in 107-4, 3/4 141-1, and again, that final mile time 2:11-3. Next, we're going to look into race 4. This is just a 3-horse field and our first trot of the day. This is a 2:25 time bar. On the rail, we have Created to Count. Randy Smith will drive and train this 2-year-old filly by Creatine. This is out of a full count mare, Make It Count. Created to Count was purchased out of the Buckeye Classic sale for $9,000 and is actually a half sibling to Tommy Count, who was the 2024 Buckeye Stallion Series champion. Coming in along in the second post position is Olympic Games. This was a $30,000 Lexington sale purchase, and I believe is actually Swedish bred. This 2-year-old colt is by Calgary Games. Moving on to horse number 3, Imona Jelly Roll. This is trained by Ron Steck. We have Ranger Steck down to dry. This is a 2-year-old colt by Marseille out of I Just Expect It. And this is a homebred for Chris Hawkins.
The 2-year-old bay colt by Marseille leads Olympic Games and Luke Ebersol. This is the 2-year-old bay colt by Calgary Games as they come to the top of the stretch. Created to Count. The 2-year-old bay followed by Creatine and Randy Smith trail the field. They're inside the final 16th, coming to the line. I'm on a Jelly Roll. Second, Olympic Games. Third, Created to Count.
Ranger Steck was all smiles coming across that finish line with our winner of race 4, Imona Jelly Roll. This was his very first win, sage for his father, Ron Steck. Ended up going that mile time in 2:25-3, right on the money for our 2:25 time bar. Across the wire, it went Imona Jelly Roll. And second was Olympic Games, and our third horse across the wire was Created to Count. Fraction times went in 40-2, 117, 3/4, 153-2, and again that final mile time was 2:25-3. Joining me now, I have Ranger Steck. Ranger, you're pretty young, only 19 years old, and
Yep.
you just won your very first race.
Yeah, I did it. It doesn't feel real. I'd shortly like to thank my mom and everyone who has put me in this situation, all the owners that have allowed me to trust me to drive these horses out here. I mean, it wouldn't be possible without any of them.
It was a pretty big affair. We saw many family members in the winning circle with you. What did it feel like?
It felt like everything I've always ever wanted. I mean, ever since I was a kid, watching my dad win, I mean, I knew that this was something that I wanted to do and I wanted to be out there. So once I finally crossed that wire and I knew that it was finally my time, I mean, it just felt like real.
Well, you act like a professional up here, doing my job, making it easy for me. So is this the plan then? Do you want to be a driver? Do you want to be a trainer?
Yeah, I want to be a driver. I'd like to follow in my dad's footsteps. You know, he started out as a great driver and then moved his way into being a great trainer. So that's kind of what I want to do. I want to start out my life with driving and see where that takes me. If I ended up being like Chris Page, then I guess I ended up being like Chris Page. But if not, I just enjoy the time with the horses because that's all it's about to me.
Everybody starts somewhere.
Yep.
Right? And so if you had any advice to some young kids that are watching that want to hopefully get behind the bike and win their first race like you did, what advice would you give them?
I'd honestly say just keep trying. Last year at Delaware, I unfortunately, my first drive last year didn't go so well. First time in the race bike, officially, and I didn't do so well. It set me back a little, really made me think on, a lot. But I just went back to the basics, back to training with my dad, training with everybody. And it's just, how much work you put in is how much, results you'll see. So just the more work you do, the more results you'll have.
We have one more in later. It is a Pennsylvania bred,
Yep.
But tell me what that feels like to be behind the gate.
Well, actually Delaware, I didn't make it to the gate was the problem. So the first time actually behind it today was great. Just getting up behind it for the first time and actually watching it leave instead of, being way behind it was just a great feeling. I mean, the best feeling I've ever had probably in my whole life.
Well, there we go. So I'm sure we'll be hearing from you a lot more as we go
Hopefully.
on. But thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break and join me back here in just a moment.
With over 30 years of experience in wealth planning and a lifetime of involvement in harness racing, Matt Franklin at Wire to Wire Wealth can help you build a financial plan that addresses the unique circumstances of those involved in the horse racing industry. Whether you are investing to build wealth, protect your family, or preserve your assets, Matt at Wire to Wire Wealth will work with you through the wealth planning process from start to finish.
Since 1974, Winterwood Farm has been producing top-of-the-line standardbred racehorses. Captain Kirk, Mission Accepted, and Stockade Sealster continue that tradition. Captain Kirk is the son of Captain Treacherous and took a career mark of 147-4 as a 4-year-old. Mission Accepted, the two-time Ohio Age Trotter of the Year, has career earnings of over $1.4 million. Stockade Sealster, the 2022 Dan Patch 2-year-old Pacing Colt of the Year, Winterwood Farm, breeding champions for over 50 years.
Quinby Joe Fresh locks it down in the Breeders' Crown and a record 6 crowns for Dexter Dunn.
Welcome back to the Urbana Matinee here in Champaign County. Thanks for joining us this evening. We're now going to head into race 5 of 20 today. Our next race is a 2:20 time bar pace. It is a field of 4. On the rail, we have Magical Evening. This is a 2-year-old filly trained by Kim Daly, will be driven by Kevin Snyder. She is by summa cum laude out of Autumn Magic, a Jenna's Beach Boy mare, owned by Jerry Zozelle and my mom in partnership. She was originally an $8,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. And this mare, Autumn Magic, actually made over $500,000 in the early 2000s, if that kind of puts a perspective on how much money she made during not a great time in our industry, and had a mark in 150-4. Nate Alexander will drive our 2-horse Romantic Dragon for trainer Brian Roebuck. This is a half sibling to a $200,000 earner. This 2-year-old filly by Fear the Dragon out of a Some Beach Somewhere mare was a $5,500 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale, and is also a full sibling to Dragon on the Beach, who has made over 250 in his career with a mark in 1:48.3. Our 3-horse will be trained and driven by Ron Steck. Seaside Angel. This is a 2-year-old filly down by the Seaside out of Band of Angels, a Rock and Roll Heaven mare. Now this dam did make $484,000 with a mark in 150 flat, and she was a $45,000 purchase. Seaside Angel was out of the Lexington Selected. Rounding out the field is our 4-horse Ranger Steck Will Drive, Cruising to the Pier for his dad, Ron Steck. This is a 2-year-old filly down by the Seaside out of Cruising to the Dance, a Yankee Cruiser mare. Now this dam has had 6 of 7 foals make it to the track, and Cruising on the Pier was a $34,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected Jug Sale.
They come to the top of the stretch, Cruising to the Pier, pokes ahead in front. Seaside Angel coming 3 wide. Magical Evening, field off the turn. They're on their way home. Cruising to the Pier on the outside. Seaside Angel the inside, the outside, Cruising to the Pier.
Ranger Steck is 2 for 2, giving his dad a run for his money. He takes our 5th race with Cruising to the Pier in 2:20 1/5. Across the wire, we did have, of course, Cruising to the Pier, our winner. And then our 3-horse was 2nd, Seaside Angel. And then Magical Evening was 3rd, and rounding out the field was Romantic Dragon. We did go to the fractions in 35-3. 1:11.3 to the 3/4 in 1:48.2, and again that final mile time in 2:20.1. I'm pretty biased here in Urbana for the Champaign County Fair, but let's catch up with somebody on the backside who can give you another scoop of what to expect this upcoming fair season. One of the biggest reasons that we have quite a racing program here at the Urbana during our fair season is our fair board. Joining me, I have Randy Leopard, who's not only on the OHHA board, but very involved right here at the Champaign County Fair. Randy, tell us what to expect this year at our fair.
Well, we did move the Buckeye Stallion Series to Monday night, August 4th. So we'll have 4th, 5th, and 6th Buckeye Stallion Series, and then the OCR races Tuesday, Wednesday.
And now that BSS is 2-year-old colt pacers?
And filly pacers this year. You know, both paces. It'll be chamber night at the races that night. So we'll have our TV giveaways, the whole round of everything.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
We make it a very big deal here. Tell us how the fair board has helped the horsemen.
They always want to do anything. I mean, whatever we need here, the board is behind us. You know, myself and Rick Dingledine's on the board. You know, we're both horsemen back here on the backside, so they've been very cooperative over the years. If we ask for something, they're more than willing to give it to us.
And there's a whole lot of history here at Champaign County. Gene Regal, I say that was here for a little bit. We also have some Signature Series races. Tell us a little bit about those and what we host.
Yeah, we have the Dick Buxton Trot, of course, and we have the Bob Seabrook Pace. And our fairgrounds even goes back to Doc Partial. He trained here for years and years. So we've named those 2 races, the Dick Buxton Trot, Bob Seabrook Pace, for Signature Series races.
And something you handed to me earlier I thought was pretty cool was a little chip that if people come out this year to watch the Champaign County Fair, what can they expect to see?
Well, poker chips with Dick's face on there, and for the Signature Series and for our fair, in green and gold.
So there we go. We are racing here very beginning of August at Champaign County, and we hope to see you here. Headed next into the 6th race. This is a 2:05 time bar pace, a field of 4. On the rail, Sean Barker will drive Fire Country, trained by Logan Rowe. This is a 2-year-old filly by Catch the Fire out of Face to Face, a Cam Luck mare. This is owned by, of course, Matt Rowe. Fire Country was a $13,000 purchase out of the Blooded Horse sale and is a half sibling to a $260,000 earner. Our 2-horse is Noble Request, trained by Brian Roebuck, driven by Nate Alexander. This is a 2-year-old filly by the Ponderosa out of Noble Trixie, a Noble Land Sam mare. So quite some old breeding we're seeing with this one. This is a $6,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic, as a full sibling to Point Place, who's made over $150,000 in its career with a mark in 151-4. Our 3-horse will be driven by Jason Beatty, trained by Logan Rowe. This 2-year-old filly by Dancing Yankee goes under the name Baxter Tough. This is a homebred for Matt Rowe, as a full sibling to How About a Yankee, another one that's made $150 in its career with a mark in 149-3 as a 3-year-old. Rounding out the field, Stacy Mays will drive for Tim Lane, Western Pants. This 2-year-old filly by Western fame out of Miss Wiggle Pants is a Mr. Wiggles mare. This is a homebred for the Spring Haven Farm and the first foal out of the stam.
As they come to the top of the stretch, it's Fire Country. Baxter Tough on the outside. The outside is Noble Request coming to the line. Fire Country on the inside. Fire Country.
The Logan Rowe trainees go 1-2 in race 6. Our winner, Fire Country, times that mile in 2:07-4. In second place, we did have the other Rowe trainee, Baxter Tough. Finishing third was Noble Request, and rounding out the field was Western Pants. Our fractions went in 34 to the half in 1:07-2. 3/4, 1:38-3, and again, final time in 2:07-4. Moving on to race 7, it is a 2:10 pace. Another field of 4. Kicking us off is Barcelona Legend. This is trained, driven, and partially owned by Darren Dowler. This 2-year-old colt by Bit of a Legend in out of Barcelona, Hanover, a Western Hanover mare. The mare did not race at all in her career. However, Barcelona Legend was a $7,000 purchase out of the Ohio Select sale and is a half sibling to a $326,000 earner. Our 2-horse will be driven by Stacy Mays out of the Tim Lane stable. Peekly Boone was a $6,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic as well. And this 2-year-old colt by Fear the Dragon out of a Some Beach Somewhere mare, Serious Filly. This mare is a producer, to say the least. All of her siblings have made it to the track and made money. There's actually some siblings of this Peekly Boone that have had a sub-50 mile. There's even one that has made $322,000 in its career. Our 3-horse is Mr. American Apple, now driven by Josh Rowe for trainer Logan Rowe. This is a 2-year-old colt by Mr. Apples out of an Art Major mare, Double Major. Bred and owned by Matt Rowe, this mare made $189,000 in her career. Rounding out the field is the 4, Hope in Splash, trained by Rachel Onema, driven by Sean Barker. This was a $17,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected sale. This is the first foal out of this mare, and she made $126,000 in her racing career.
With an 1/8 of a mile to pace, Mr. American Apple, 3 wide on the grandstand side. Hope and Splash between horses. Barcelona Legend inside. Barcelona Legend is almost there. Barcelona Legend.
Mr. American Apple gave us a huge mile in race 7. However, he just ended up second. Our winner was Barcelona Legend. Darren Dowler does train and drive. That colt went in 2:07. Again, our second place finisher was Mr. American Apple, who was 3 wide on the backside. Finishing third was Hope and Splash, and rounding out the field in 4th was Peekly Boone. Our fractions went in 33-2 to the half in 1:06-2, 3/4 in 1:38 flat, and again, that final mile time in 2:07. Going on to race 8 now is a 2:10 trot. We do have another field of 4. On the rail, we have Captive Money. Ronnie Gillespie will drive for Dan Cribahany. This is a 2-year-old colt by Ready for Money out of a Muscle Hill mare. He was a $5,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. In the second post position, we have St. Tom out of the Kim Daly barn, driven by my uncle, Rick Dingledine. St. Tom is a 2-year-old colt by Long Tom out of Holy Mary, a credit winner mare. He was a $20,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected Sale and was a half sibling to a $100,000 earner. The 3-horse is State Lines Hill. Another one out of the Daly barn will be driven by Kevin Snyder. We call this horse Fireball. Hopefully he does not show that today. This is a 2-year-old colt by What the Hill. He was purchased out of a private sale, and this dam did make $540,000 in her racing career. Rounding out the field, we have Cash Through Wrath. David Meyer does drive and train this 2-year-old filly by Muscle Through It. This was one that we actually did see earlier at the Salina Matinee.
With an 1/8 of a mile to trot. Captivate Money, Ronnie Gillespie. State Lines Hill on the outside. Coming to the line. Captivate Money to your bay colt by Ready for Money.
There was a big crowd in the winner's circle for race 8. It was all Captivate Money, trained by Dan Cribahani, and it was Ronnie G who got it done in 2:07 and 4. In second place, we did have State Lines Hill. In fourth place was Cash Through Rafe, and finishing out the field was St. Tom, who did make a break behind the gate. The fractions went in 33 and 4, to the half in 106 and 2, 3/4 in 138, and again, final mile time 2:07 and 4. Next, we're going to head into race 9. Before I introduce the field, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
The Ohio equine industry needs your help. I'm Scott Mogan, president of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association. With over 300,000 horses in Ohio, the economic impact of the equine industry in the state is over $2.8 billion. That means jobs that pump millions of dollars into the local economy and support thousands of families. For Ohio's equine industry to remain strong, we need to send a clear message to our legislators about the important role that the agricultural small businesses play in Ohio's economy. To do that, we need your help. PACER, the Political Action Committee for Equine Racing, helps support and inform on issues that could positively affect Ohio harness racing. Please consider a donation to PACER. To donate, visit our website at ohha.com or call 614-221-3650. Your donation will help keep harness racing strong in Ohio. Thank you for your support.
At Ohio State's Galbraith Equine Center, our veterinary champions are here for your champions 24/7, 365 days a year. Our expert team of boarded surgeons, sports medicine and rehabilitation specialists, together with veterinary cardiologists, internal medicine, and ophthalmologists, make our hospital your best resource for all sport horse performance issues. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center's Galbraith Equine Hospital. Call us today at 614-292-6661.
Headed next into race 9. This is a 2:15 pace. It is all 3-year-olds. On the rail, we actually do have an Indiana bred, a long shot diamond. Coming in on the second post position, we have Promise Me Again, trained by Brian Roebuck. This is a 3-year-old filly by Do Me That Again, out of Judy's Promise and Admiral's Galley mare. May be trained by Brian Roebuck, driven by Nate Alexander. This was just a $1,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. She did actually have 13 starts last year as a 2-year-old, but only hit 1 check, so I'm sure she's out here just trying to get her feet under her once again. Our 3-horse is Aruba Cat, be trained and driven by Michael Richardson Jr. This is a 3-year-old filly by Well Said out of Monochromatic, a Dream Away mare. Now this mare did almost make $900,000 in her racing career with a mark in 150 and 4. Aruba Cat is a half sibling to Coach Carey, who is approaching the $100,000 earning mark. The next 4-horse is a scratch, and rounding out the field is the 5, Western Sky, will be trained by Terry Henry, driven by Darren Dower. This is a homebred for Joyce Wagner.
They come to the top of the stretch with 1/8 of a mile to pace. Ruba Cat the outside, Western Sky the inside, Western Sky the outside. Aruba Cat the final strides, battling back Western Sky.
Western Sky, very impressive in our 9th race, times that mile in 2:13 and 3. I failed to mention this 3-year-old filly is by Big Bam Ray, kind of a small stud to say the least, out of Western 6, a Western Hanover mare. In second place, we did have our 3-horse Aruba Cat, who gave it his all at that finish. In third, we had a Long Shot Diamond, and rounding out the field was our 2-horse Promise Me Again. Fractions went in 35 and 2 to the half, in 1:10 and 2 3/4, 1:43 and 3, and again that final mile time was 2:13 and 3. Going on next to the 10th race, this is a 2:25 trot. We are scratched down to just a field of 2. On the rail, we have Bobby Garland. This is a 2-year-old colt by Full Count out of Kinda Naughty, a Conway Hall mare. This is owned and will be driven by Amelia Smith, trained by her dad, Randy Smith. This is the first surviving colt out of the dam. Our 2 is a scratch, and our 3 is SLF Timel Prize. Will be trained and driven by Scott Ferguson. This is a 3-year-old filly by Enterprise out of an Angus Hall mare, and is a half sibling to one that has made $104,000 in its life, and another sibling is at $93,000. SLF Timel Prize is a $5,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale.
They're off the turn. They're on their way home. SLF Timel Prize. Bobby Garland the outside. Through the lane they trot. Coming to the line, SLF Timel Prize and Scott Ferguson.
SLF Timel Prize takes it in 2:31 and 3. Bobby Garland did make a break in that first turn. However, Amelia, just 14 years old, finished out the race and made up a ton of ground. Did such a good job holding that 2-year-old colt together. Our fractions went in 40 and 3 to the half, and 1:19 3/4, and 1:56 and 1. And again, that final mile time in 2:31 and 3. We talk a lot about how the harness industry is very family oriented. However, we do still have quite a few young people making their claim in our industry. Let's head over to the backside and meet somebody who just recently fell in love with a standardbred. I got to catch up with Jaden Allen, who is a caretaker here right at Urbana 7 days a week. Jaden, you didn't grow up in this business. Tell us how you got started.
I grew up in rodeo, and I wanted to just be in the horse business somewhere. I didn't care what, but I walked into Kim's barn one day, and she gave me the job.
And how long ago was that?
3 years ago.
How old are you?
21.
So this was pretty much right out of high school for you. Did you think you'd be here in the racehorse business for as long as you have?
No, I did not. It's crazy.
So we've been there and done that. You've taken care of some nice little horses here for my mom. What's been your favorite part?
Really just working with her. I mean, it's crazy. She's not very much of a teacher, but I've learned a lot from her.
We have a handful of 2-year-olds going out this afternoon for the matinee. Do you have a favorite?
I do. It is a Trot and Filly, our CS Niffy girl. She's been one of them that I just really enjoy taking care of.
What's made her special?
She's just really sweet, and I get along with her. I usually don't get along with fillies, but with her I do.
So there we go, Jaden Allen. Let's go ahead and head back over and take a look at the upcoming race. Headed next into race 11, it is a 2:15 trot, a field of 4. On the rail, we have Curtis Harper behind My Secret Money. This is a 2-year-old filly by Ready for Money, trained by Mike Sweeney. This filly is out of Muscles Secret, a Muscles Yankee mare. My Secret Money is a half sibling to some that we do still see racing. Secret Chaos Theory, as well as Uncle Johnny's Secret. Our 2-horse is CS Niffy Girl, trained by Kim Daly, and will be driven by Rick Dingledine. This was a $13,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. This 2-year-old filly is by Long Tom out of 51K, a Sebastian K mare. Our 3 horse is Off the Rails, trained by Deb Schwartz. Russ Schwartz will be behind the lines. This filly is by Enterprise, out of a Broadway Hall mare, Broadway Fantasy. Off the Rails is a half sibling to What a Buckeye, who has made $78,000 in its career and is still racing. Our 4 horse is another Deb Schwartz trainee. Mike Schwartz will be in the bike, Irish Ranger. This is a 2-year-old colt by In Range out of Irish Princess, a Triumphant Caviar mare. Irish Ranger was a $30,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale and is the first foal out of this dam.
Down the stretch they trot. The leader, My Secret Money. Second is Off the Rails, coming to the line. My Secret Money.
My Secret Money takes race 11 in 2:19 and 2. Our fractions went in 40, 1:15 and 1, 1:49 and 3, and again 2:19 and 2. Our winner, My Secret Money, trained by Mike Sweeney. In second, we had Off the Rails, a Schwartz trainee, and same thing with our 3. Irish Ranger was a Schwartz trainee, and coming in fourth was CS Nippy Girl. Moving on now to our 12th race. It is a 2:05 pace. Another field of 4. On the rail, we have Well SHF. Derek Flowers will drive and train this 2-year-old filly by Well Said out of Wind Song Jacoba, a Mach 3 mare. This is a homebred for Andrew Beachy. However, it looks like it might have been a buyback for $3,000 out of the Buckeye Classic sale. The mare, Winsong Jacoba, did make 110 in her lifetime with a mark in 151 and 4. Our 2 horse is Yankees Mo. Logan Rowe does train. Sean Barker will drive this 2-year-old colt by Yankee Cruiser out of a Western Ideal mare. Matt Rowe does own. Yankees Mo was an $8,000 purchase out of the Blooded Horse sale and has 2 siblings that have made over $75,000. The 3 horse is ATI Kiss My Hawks. Jason Beatty will be in the bike for Logan Rowe. This is a 2-year-old colt by Racing Hill out of Anacate, a Dragon Again mare. ATI Kiss My Hawks was a $10,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic and is a half sibling to an $105,000 earner. Ryan out the field, Stacy Mays is back in the bike for Tim Lane behind Yacht Rock. This is a $26,000 purchase out of the Ohio Select sale. This 2-year-old colt is by Summa Cum Laude out of Best Place to Rock, a Rockin' Amadeus mare. This is the first foal for this dam.
They're off the turn. They're on their way home. 3 of them across the track. Yankees Mo on the inside, coming to the line. Yankees Mo.
Logan Rowe takes another one with Yankees Mo. That was driven by Sean Barker. Mile goes in 2:04 and 3 for our 12th race. In second place, we had Yacht Rock, and third was ATI Kiss My Hawks, who made a really nice effort in that final turn. And rounding out the field was Well SHF after a break. The fractions went in 31 and 3, 104 and 3, 3/4 and 136. And again, that final mile time in 2:04 and 3. Before we head into our 13th race, let's take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
At Ohio State's Galbraith Equine Center, our veterinary champions are here for your champions 24/7, 365 days a year. Our expert team of boarded surgeons, sports medicine and rehabilitation specialists, together with veterinary cardiologists, internal medicine, and ophthalmologists, make our hospital your best resource for all sport horse performance issues. The Ohio State Veterinary Medical Center's Galbraith Equine Hospital. Call us today at 614-292-6661.
Since 1974, Winterwood Farm has been producing top-of-the-line standardbred racehorses. Captain Kirk, Mission Accepted, and Stockade Sealster continue that tradition. Captain Kirk is the son of Captain Treacherous and took a career mark of 147 and 4 as a 4-year-old. Mission Accepted, the 2-time Ohio Age Trotter of the Year, has career earnings of over $1.4 million. Stockade Sealster, the 2022 Dan Patch 2-year-old Pacing Colt of the Year, Winterwood Farm, breeding champions for over 50 years.
With over 30 years of experience in wealth planning and a lifetime of involvement in harness racing, Matt Franklin at Wire to Wire Wealth can help you build a financial plan that addresses the unique circumstances of those involved in the horse racing industry. Whether you are investing to build wealth, protect your family, or preserve your assets, Matt at Wire to Wire Wealth will work with you through the wealth planning process from start to finish.
Racing is back at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday nights. First race post time is 5:45. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with the $150,000 Next Generation on July 5th. Thrilling harness racing at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Horse players can earn points with the Caesars Reward Program. El Dorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back.
Thanks for joining us for Matinee Madness here in Urbana, Ohio. Next, we're going to head into race 13. It is a 2:25 pace. A field of 4 on the rail. Ranger Steck will drive for Ron Steck. Marty Party 3, and that is a Pennsylvania bred filly. Our 2 horse is now driven by Tony Croft. Crosswinds Susie Q, trained by David Elliott. This is a 2-year-old filly by Western fame out of Agena's Beach Boy mare. Crosswind Susie Q was a $3,500 purchase out of the Blooded Horse sale and does have 2 half siblings that have made over $150,000. One even at the 220 mark with a mark in 150 and 1. Our 3 horse will be driven by Jack Franklin for Kenneth Hurst. This is a 3-year-old filly by Bit of a Legend and Million or Better. She is out of Arts Virtue, an Arts Place mare. Now, this mare was born in 1997 and her racing career made $1.1 million with a mark in 150 and 3. This mare is a huge producer as a dam as well. She has 6 foals that have made over $120,000, including a $380,000 earner. Rounding out the field is the 4 horse, Baker's Moneymaker, also trained by Kenneth Hurst, but Michael Richardson Jr. will be in the bike. This filly is by Bring On the Beach out of Harmony Oaks Gigi, a Sportsmaster mare. This mare was also born in 2000 and has made over $209 in her career and has a half sibling, Baker's Moneymaker does, that has made $131,000.
The leader with an 1/8 of a mile to pace is Crosswind Susie Q. Marty Party 3 on the outside. Crosswind Susie Q. Marty Party 3 on the outside. Coming to the line, Crosswind Susie Q. On the line, Crosswind Susie Q. Marty Party 3 second.
The 13th race today goes to Crosswinds Susie Q in a time of 2:26 and 1. In second place, we had Marty Party 3. In third was Baker's Moneymaker, and finishing out the field in fourth was Million or Better. The fractions went in 37 and 2, 116, 152 and 4, and again that final mile time 2:26 and 1. Moving on next into the 14th race. It is a 2:10 time bar, all trotters. A field of 4. On the rail, we have another one out of the Daily stable. Kevin Snyder will drive this 2-year-old colt, Knob Creek Money, by Ready for Money out of Southwind Cruella, a Muscle Hill mare. Knob Creek Money was an $11,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected sale. Coming in our second post position is Flying Ryan, trained by Brian Roebuck. Nate Alexander will drive this 3-year-old gelding by Uncle Peter out of a Master Levesque mare. Flying Ryan did have 5 starts last year as a 2-year-old, however, did not hit the board. And then our 3 horse is Bunsen. Dave Meyer drives and trains this 2-year-old colt by Team 6. Now, this is one that we saw earlier at the Salina Matinee. I believe won that earlier matinee in 2:07 flat. Bunsen was a $3,500 purchase out of the Blooded Horse sale. Rounding out the field, I have a Bob Conrad trainee, Oh No 6. This is another 3-year-old colt by Team 6. Did not start at all at 2 years old. Oh No 6 was a $4,600 purchase out of the blooded horse sale and does have a half sibling that has made $149,000 in its career.
Here comes Knob Creek Money, the 2-year-old bay colt by Ready for Money on the outside. They're stride for stride as they trot down the stretch. Flying Ryan, Knob Creek Money, Oh No 6 and Bunsen on the inside. Bunsen on the inside. Knob Creek Money, Bunsen.
Bunsen takes race 14 in 2:07 flat. Do have to give it to our second place horse though. Knob Creek Money made a huge comeback after a pretty nasty break and going into that first turn. However, our fractions went in 33, 105 to the 3/4 and 137 and 2. And again, final mile time in 2:07. Our winner, Bunsen. Second place, we had Knob Creek Money, and third, Flyin' Ryan, and finishing out that field was our 4-horse, Oh No 6. Race 15 is just some gate schooling. We do have 4 horses going in behind the gate. We have on the rail Eyes Up. Our 2-horse is KB Full Moon. Our 3-horse is KB Wrecking Ball, and rounding out the field is the 4 Summer Getaway. Now our rail horse, Eyes Up, we actually got to see on the backside a little bit earlier this afternoon and catch up with his owner.
A very familiar face to so many of us here at the Champaign County Fairgrounds. I've got Harry Alltop. Harry, you've been involved for a very long time, to say the least.
Yep, I sure have. I worked and retired out of the military, two different services, Navy. I was in the Navy, got out of there and went in the Air Force. And I've always had horses. Then somebody said, what kind of horses you got? I said, I got quarter horses. He said, why don't you get a horse that can make you some money? I said, well, where are they at? They said, they're called standard breds. Okay? I said, okay, I'll do that. So I got it hooked up with some people over in Indiana, and they gave me a filly. Okay? They got me started. Little old pacing filly, can't even remember the name of her. And from there on, I was hooked.
Yep, you say, I remember you. I've grown up with you, Harry. I remember you training in one of our little back barns here, and you've watched me grow up too.
Yep, now I come over here and was in this barn here before they redid it with the old fella and the old gal that used to live over there in the trailer. I rented 3 stalls. I had three babies that I was breaking and training at the time. That got me started.
And today, you're still owning. You're 88 years old, but you're still involved as ever. So I pulled in this morning, and you were out on the track jogging horses.
Yep, jogging horses. That's the only way you can learn about horses. You got to be with them. You got to jog them. You got to train them, and you got to own them.
And you even sit behind some of your 2-year-olds, right? That Deb and Russ do train for you. You've got a handful right here. We've got Eyes Up.
And we got Money over here. He's a trotter.
They're matineeing today.
Yep.
How are you hopeful?
They're going to show a good showing because the man down there, he ain't listening, is he? But he's going to be hearing what I'm saying. He takes care of them good. Does a good job with them. Hollers for me, Harry, you want to jog one? Yeah, I want to jog one. Let's go. I'll get him ready for you. And that's what I do.
And that's perfect. You're going to be doing this. You've done it for a long time. You're going to keep doing it, right?
Keep doing it until I can't.
And there we go. So let's go ahead and head into the next field, and we'll take a look at one of Harry's horses.
And race 15, that was just a gate schooling, actually gave us our fastest mile of the day. It was our 2-horse, KB Full Moon, trained by Deb Swartz, who went the mile in 2:03 and 3. Fractions were 30, 59 and 3 to the 3/4 and 132 and 2. And again, final mile time in 2:03 and 3. And second, we did have Summer Getaway. And third, Eyes Up. And finishing out race 15 and the 4th was KB Wrecking Ball. Moving on to race 16, I believe we are scratched down to a field of 3. This is a 2:20 trot. On the rail, we have Mystical Rita. Kevin Snyder will drive for Kim Daly. This is a 2-year-old filly by Creatine out of Short Vacation, a Dream Vacation mare. Mystical Rita was a $7,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale and does have a half sibling that has made $279,000 in its career. Our 2-horse is French Mocha, be trained by Kenneth Hurst, driven by Mike Richardson Jr. French Mocha is by Marseille out of Kendora, and there was a $3,500 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. Rounding out the field is our 3-horse, Oh Money. Randy Smith trains. Jessica Smith is down to drive. Oh Money is a 2-year-old colt by Ready for Money. It was a $6,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected sale, and the 4 was a scratch.
As it come to the top of the stretch, it's Oh Money, Mystical Rita, and French Mocha coming to the line. Oh Money to take the 16th for Jessica Smith.
Oh Money hits that time bar exactly, winning in 2:20 flat. In second place, we had French Mocha, and then rounding out the field in third was Mystical Rita. The fractions went in 36 and 2 to the half, 112 and 2 to the 3/4, 146 and 3, and again, that final mile time, 2:20. Before we head into race 17, we're going to take just a moment and hear from our sponsors.
Racing is back at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday nights. First race post time is 5:45. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with a $150,000 Next Generation on July 5th. Thrilling harness racing at El Dorado Scioto Downs. Horse players can earn points with the Caesars Reward Program. El Dorado Scioto Downs. Live racing is back. The future is bright in Ohio. Ohio Sire Stakes, Buckeye Stallion Series, 66 county and independent fairs. Whether it's the Ohio Sire Stakes, the Buckeye Stallion Series, or the county fairs, Ohio has a place for your racehorse. This year, Ohio breds are racing for nearly $23 million in stakes purses. Be part of the winning. Breed, buy, race, win in Ohio.
Since 1974, Winterwood Farm has been producing top-of-the-line standardbred racehorses. Captain Kirk, Mission Accepted, and Stockade Sealster continue that tradition. Captain Kirk is the son of Captain Treacherous and took a career mark of 147-4 as a 4-year-old. Mission Accepted, the 2-time Ohio Age Trotter of the Year, has career earnings of over $1.4 million. Stockade Sealster, the 2022 Dan Patch 2-year-old Pacing Colt of the Year, Winterwood Farm, breeding champions for over 50 years.
Welcome back to Matinee Madness. Thanks for joining us here in Urbana, Ohio. We're now headed into race 17 of 20 this afternoon. We're headed into a 2:05 pace, scratched down to a field of 3. On the rail, we have Gem Ella, be driven by Darren Dower, trained by Terry Henry. This is a 3-year-old filly by Big Bam Ray out of Hillcrest Crystal, an I Scoot Hanover mare. This is a homebred for Joyce Wagner. Our 2-horse is a Pennsylvania bred gelding, Always Be Sinful. And our 3-horse is Call Me Charlie, another trainee, a Scott Ferguson trainee, will be driven by Harvey Toops. Call Me Charlie was originally a $3,000 Buckeye Classic purchase. He is a 3-year-old gelding by We Will See out of Real, a Real Desire mare. He did not start at all as a 2-year-old.
With an 1/8 of a mile to pace, Call Me Charlie, the 3-year-old bay-gelded son of We Will See. Up on the outside, Always Be Sinful. The Always Be Mickey is on the inside. Coming to the wire, they're stride for stride, but on the outside, Call Me Charlie. Call Me Charlie.
Call Me Charlie raced a big mile, finishing race 17 in 2:09 and 3. That was not an easy trip at all. In second, we did have another Scott Ferguson trainee, Always Be Sinful, and Jim Ella rounded out the field, but I will commend her. She looks like she has a ton of speed in the straightaways once they get those turns figured out. Fractions went in 33 and 3, 106 and 3, 138 and 2, and again, that final mile time was 209 and 3. Headed next into race 18, it is a field of 4, a 2:10 pace. On the rail, we have How About Them Cowboys. It is Derek Flowers behind his own trainee. It's a 2-year-old filly by Well Said out of Frontier Sarah and Almahurst Frontier Mare. How About Them Cowboys was a $4,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic. Our 2-horse will now be driven by Lane Smith. Rockin' and Knockin'. Greg Smith, his dad, is the trainer. This is a 2-year-old filly by Pet Rock out of Knockout Pout, a Western Terror mare. Greg Smith did breed and does own this little filly as well. I will say the dam Knockout Pout has had 3 of 4 foals make over $110,000 so far. And Rockin' and Knockin' has a half sibling that has made $288,000 with a mark in 150-1. Our 3-horse is I Want Mo. Kim Daly trains, Rick Dingledine in the bike. This is a 2-year-old filly by Fool Me Once out of Mach May Hanover, a Mach 3 mare. She was just a $1,500 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic. And if you watched our last freshman focus, you'll hear more about that this little filly was kind of just bought on a whim, and she's turned out to be one that we like a little bit. And rounding out the field is Snapchat Cheater, trained by Logan Rowe. Jason Beatty will be in the bike. This 2-year-old filly is by Summa Cum Laude out of You're Beautiful. This mare made $397,000 in her racing career. And Snapchat Cheater is a half sibling to Beautiful Seaside, who has made over $300 in her racing career with a mark in 150 flat. And the Rows do still have an own.
They're on their way home. I Want Mo on the outside. How About Them Cowboys coming to the line? I Want Mo.
Well, I'm glad I didn't jinx her going into race 18 through our introduction. I Want Mo takes it in 2:15 flat. Our fractions go 36 and 3, 112 and 1 to the 3/4, and 145 and 4. And again, final mile time in 2:15. Our winner, I Want Mo. And second place was Snapchat Cheater. And third was How About Them Cowboys. And rounding out the field was Rockin' and Knockin'. We're headed now into race 19 of 20. This is a 2:15 trot. On the rail, we have Magic Getaway. Rod Allums Jr. will drive for Jamie Weller. This is a 2-year-old filly by Muscle Up the Goal out of Getaway All Hanover, a Broadway Hall mare. And Magic Getaway was just a $2,500 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. Our 2-horse is Call for Money. Tony Croft will drive for Deb Schwartz. This is a brown 2-year-old colt by Ready for Money out of Call Your Mother. Call for Money was just a $14,000 purchase out of the Ohio Select sale. And our 3-horse is Ready Russell that we did feature on the last episode of Freshman Focus. Deb Schwartz trains. Russ Schwartz will be in the bike. Ready Russell was a $37,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected sale for good reason. This colt is by Ready for Money out of For the Love of Lindy. Ready Russell is a half sibling to LT Loverboy, the 2024 Ohio 2-year-old trotting colt of the year. Rounding out the field is Backstage Memories. Randy Smith will train and drive this 2-year-old colt by Uncle Peter out of a Yankee Glide mare. I'm your biggest fan. Backstage Memory is a homebred for Jessica Smith and a half sibling to Fanatic, who made $382,000 with a mark in 150 flat.
As they come to the top of the stretch, Backstage Memories third. Magic Getaway is fourth with an 1/8 of a mile to trot. Ready Russell, Call for Money. The outside, Backstage Memories up the inside. Magic Getaway, but coming to the line. The inside, Ready for Russell.
Reddy Russell does it very easily in 2:13.2, taking the 19th race. In second, we had another Schwartz trainee, Call for Money. Finishing third was Backstage Memories, and rounding out the field fourth was Magic Getaway. Fractions went in 34.4, 109, 142, and again, final mile time 2:13.2. We have finally made it to our very last matinee race of the season, race 20 here at Urbana. It is a 2:15 double. However, I have a feeling that everything in here is going to pace. Our one is a scratch, so our 2 horse is Muscle Carlos, trained by Kim Daly. Andrew Croft will drive. This is a 2-year-old filly by Muscle Up, the goal, a trotter, out of a crazed mare. Now, Muscle Carlos was a $7,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale. And I did say, bred to be a trotter. However, this filly is pacing. Our 3 horse is another daily trainee, Rose Run Balance. Kevin Snyder will be in the bike. This is a 2-year-old colt by Lather Up out of Tiger Boudoir, a Western Terror mare. Jerry Zozelle of Columbus owns alongside my mom. Now, this mare, Tiger Boudoir, did make $265,000 in her career with a mark in 151.3. Rose Run Balance is the first colt, and he was a $12,000 purchase out of the Ohio Selected Jug Sale. Rounding out the field is 4 Dancin' Again. Brian Jones trains, Mandy Jones owns, and will be in the bike. This is a black 2-year-old filly by Dancin' Yankee out of Sam, a Dragon Again mare. Dancin' Again was a $5,000 purchase out of the Buckeye Classic sale.
They come to the top of the stretch. Rose Run Balance, Dancing Again. Muscle Carlos on the outside. 3 of them across the track. It's Rose Run Balance, Dancing Again. Far outside, Muscle Carlos on the line. Rose Run Balance.
Rose Run Balance wins the very last matinee race of the 2025 season. That 2-year-old colt went in 2:11.3. In second, we had the trotting bred pacer, Muscle Carlos, and rounding out the field was the 4 horse, Dancin' Again. Our fractions went in 33.3, 108, 141.2, and again, final mile time in 2:11.3. We want to thank everybody for joining us this 2025 Matinee Madness season, including all of the fairgrounds that have graciously let us hang out for the day. We look forward to seeing you at the Paulding County Fair real soon.
This has been Matinee Madness. Matinee Madness is presented by the Ohio State University Veterinary Medical Center, Eldorado Scioto Downs, Winterwood Farm, and Wire to Wire Wealth. Matinee Madness is a presentation of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.